journal. This is the kind that I do when I'm out walking and it feels super duper awkward because people are like, is that guy talking on the phone? Or, you know what I mean? It's like I'm one of those people that must love to FaceTime or something. So I just pretend that they think that I'm FaceTiming and not doing a live YouTube video. And when I say they, most people aren't even noticing me, so probably shouldn't care much, but you know, it's part of it, I guess. Sitting around thinking that everybody's paying attention to you, which I don't have that feeling as much anymore as I used to. So we're just doing a walkabout, and one of the bigger things, sorry, I'll probably be quiet for a second. We got to start with the basics, which is gratitude check-in. Obviously grateful for my wife and kids. They're the best. I'm grateful for the day. It's been raining and cloudy over the past few days, and when it's raining and cloudy, it kind of makes you feel a little bit more depressed. And if you're already in that kind of zone, it doesn't help any. So got the sunshine out today. I love walking in the sun. Here's something I was thinking about. They say, this is like scientists or people who've studied this kind of stuff. They say that if you were to have somebody practice basketball like every day, shooting like 100 free throws every day, but then also have somebody not practice with the basketball, but just use his visualization, use his imagination, I guess, to imagine that he's shooting 100 basketballs, to imagine what that feels like, and to picture them all every time going in, that when they actually go to perform, it's pretty much equal as far as, I'm going to get away from this lawn mower, as far as how many get made by either person. So it's almost just as important physically for you to visualize what you want an outcome to be, and like kind of imagine it happening as it is to practice it or perform it. And so the reason I bring that up is days like today where I just don't have the energy to run. You know, we went to the Y already this morning, my wife and I, and we try to do things that rhyme all the time. But we went to the Y this morning, and you know, I could have ran for about 45 minutes, which I've been working on jogging and stuff for long enough to where that's not that big of an issue, but didn't have it mentally. You still mentally got to get your mind in the right space. So one of the things I've been practicing, and I don't know if it'll work, is just visualizing myself. Even if I'm walking, I just visualize myself as if I'm running. So like even right now as I'm walking through the leaves, talking to you, I'm picturing myself running, and I'm hoping that it does the same, you know, for my body as running would do. kind of like a weird thing, but I think if you actually believe it, convince yourself it's true, it for sure could happen. So that's one of my techniques. You guys can steal it if you want. Then there's this situation with biggest thing I've been dealing with lately is that there's like all this rebuilding that has to go on after you have a manic episode, you know? And so we're in the middle of that, but you just don't know how to do it, you know? There's so many unanswered questions, and you can do your best to search them and I guess quite literally drive yourself crazy trying to find the answer. But until you talk to the right people, until the right things get said by the right people and they open the door and show you what to do, it just brings worry. And so I'm trying to clear my head of all that worry. Because it don't do any good. In fact, I guess I've been taking my visualization practice and trying to not only simulate running and jogging when I only feel like walking, but I'm also trying to visualize that all being done, and I can be, I guess, finally at peace with what has happened, you know, and we're moving on and can get a more predictable plan, life plan, day-to-day plan that doesn't have so many just up in the air problems. So, because we just have financial problems that, or I do, you know, I caused them with my illness. And I've talked about them before, and it's pretty common, unfortunately. It's one of the symptoms of our disorder is that when we have a manic episode, we'll go on a spending spree. And that's what happened with me. And you also, not only do you end up maybe buying a bunch of stuff that you don't need, which is one thing, but what you do keep, all of it becomes a reminder of what happened, and so you don't even want it anymore. Just like, or at least for me, that's how it feels. But you have to, you just have to go through the next phases, you know. So in our case, it'll be dealing with lawyer and trying to give my wife more control legally over me and my finances to protect us from this happening again. And that's a lot of pressure on my wife, but it doesn't have to be in the future. So it's like, if I can visualize it already being done, you know, and knowing that we're going to get there, then it's not too scary. But it's not really about being scared. It's just about the unknown. I think that's what a lot of this is the unknown of, you don't know how to fix the problems you created. And when you're waiting for the professional help that you might need, like a lawyer or something, you don't know what to do in the meantime. So that's kind of what I'm going through right now. And how do you cope with that unknown? How do you, get through it if you know that your finances are out of whack and you know that you spend all the money and you know, then you just, I guess that's what we're doing. You start the process of, first of all, deciding, is it something you can come back from without seeking legal help? In our case, it's not. And then for protection moving forward, is it something that, I'm lucky, I guess, in the way that I have a wife that's willing to see that this is such an illness, she'll have to kind of be in charge of my finances and once we get it all straight, she's kind of in charge. And so it's just weird because in a way you feel kind of incompetent, even though if you're feeling fine, if you're in the normal zone, if you're at a 5 out of 10 on your mood scale and you're feeling normal and you're making good decisions and you're like, how did I ever do that? So it makes you, but that's the same zone that you're in that can cause problems too, where you get feeling good for such a long time. I think that's when people stop thinking that they even have an illness, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the place I'm at, where I'm starting to feel more and more like myself on a daily basis. And although I have all these worries and such, they're being addressed. It's just the timeline is slow. And I don't know why that can make a person so uneasy, but it does. So, but it's in this spot that I'm at where you worry, like you think, man, if I feel this good, how did anything like that ever happen? And those are the flashbacks that we talk about, just the stupid things you might have said or done while manic, places you went that you wouldn't normally go, and it makes you feel like sick almost to your stomach that's what happened. And so when you're normal, when you're in your normal zone, baseline, let's call it baseline, sometimes it's that baseline that you're finding that is a big struggle to stay there. It's uncomfortable there when you first get back to baseline. It's really uncomfortable because you still have the knowledge now of like what's to come, but you feel less prepared for it. And whatever memories you still have they're all out of whack, but the little flashbacks that come back, you just don't understand how they even happened. So it's been one of those days for me. So my mood, I'd probably say we're looking at a 4 or 5. We'll go 4 or 5 out of 10 on a daily mood scale, and our energy level today is probably the same, maybe a 4 or 3-4. Just don't have the energy that I would like to have. But I categorized all my transactions this morning from credit card spending, which was difficult to do. It took me a few days, but got through that. Like, there's progress that gets made. And I don't know. I teeter on the am I just, when you don't know what to do, you don't trust yourself. That's the thing. Like, you get back to baseline, and a lot of the answers that people are wanting to get done, it's like, why are you asking me? I'm the one who put us here. What do I know? And it makes you just not trust your own intuition and your own thoughts, and then you're back to sorry, I gotta jog across the street. You're back to that worry mode, so I'm trying to escape the worry and be like, it's not my job to know those answers. I don't know them, So I'm willing to do what I do know how to do, and I've been doing that, and that's got to be enough. So just hoping that more will be illuminated for us as we continue this process. I'm really excited about, one of the things I also got going on is that I get to start this new job here in a couple weeks, to be the peer supporter, or to be a peer supporter. And I've been kind of studying and watching videos on what that is, and ultimately it's just exactly what it sounds like. You have people that are going through what you've been through, and you're there to listen and kind of help guide them, not to what you think is right, but what they think is right for them, unless it's something that's obviously a bad choice. So maybe steer them away from that if you can. Sometimes it feels like my whole life has been leading up to, I guess everybody's whole life leads up to what they are now, but my whole life has been leading. What I just naturally want to do is listen to people, my peers like that, and basically be a peer supporter. I've been doing it for my brother, for years, who calls me practically every day, just wants to chat and get affirmation that he's on the right track or doing something well, or even if he just wants to talk about what he had for lunch, I can do that. And he's got his own bipolar disorder, and he's got his own mental challenges, so not a lot of people want to sit and just have that chat with him. But even throughout middle school and high school most of my friends were part of that group, the group of persons that needed more special attention. The special ed kids were my friends, So I'm excited to make that be like, it's looking possible that that's going to be my job. I get to be doing that. But there's still this whole other safety net we're trying to create with my old existence, Sometimes I'm like wanting just to shout, like, I don't do that anymore. It's not what I want to do. But it's like I have to hang on because it's just one of those things where it's too good of an opportunity to not continue. So we're trying to keep it going. And that takes help. So I'd sit down and talk to you if I could find a place to sit. There's plenty of places to walk in this town, but not as enough to sit. Need more benches, man. Johnny benches. Eventually, the goal for this, I think on the Daily Mood Journal channel or Touching Tornadoes channel, will just to have more activity, more back and forth with y'all. So, there's a lot of bipolar support groups, but I don't know if there's a lot of them that are happening live on YouTube. At least I don't see them. Maybe I'm just not part of the right algorithm yet. So anyways, feeling good. I got this done. This was something that gets hard to do on weekends because the kids are home from school, and although nobody would care at my house if I went downstairs, they're all pretty aware of my bipolarness and wanted to be in the studio to do the show. I think it'd be fine, but I don't know. Taking it outside every now and then, taking it on a walk, even though it's a different kind of video. I think it's fine. Not worrying about talking so loud and talking so much. Just taking it easy. Don't get hit by a car. Do you guys think that works? What happens when you visualize? I don't know. Granted, we just walked for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, walking and talking. But in my mind, that entire time I was jogging to get the benefits, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm gonna hang up on you now. I'll probably call that sibling of mine and check in, but I think he's working. So just be good to yourself. Don't stress over anything. That's what we're trying to do, Be aware maybe of everything, but don't stress on anything. That's probably a good way to put it. Be aware of everything, don't stress on anything. It's more difficult to do than to say. So, with that being said, have an okay day.